The great thing about post is we're left to our own devices a little bit, especially in post sound. Partly why I didn't love being a picture editor as much too was I didn't really like the idea of having someone sitting over my, kind of shoulder the whole time. Nobody really knows how to explain what they want exactly. We can kind of talk about what mood or what feeling, and then we have to come up with a creative way of executing that. I was going to be a chef. I was on the waiting list to go to Cordon Bleu cooking school, and I got this opportunity to go to the Philippines and work on Francis Coppola's pretty amazing film. I did it, and it kind of changed my life. I got hired in the cutting room as an apprentice picture editor. Then I was an assistant picture editor for quite a while, and then in the middle of the shoot, I got hired to play one of the surfers. And then I was a sound editor for about a year. Did Foley on the movie, all the footsteps and everything on the boat. So that's where I got started in sound. Post-production starts with taking all of the sound that was gathered in production. And typically that's just the principal dialogue, some extraneous stuff that's recorded on location.
We're holding.
Here we go.
Adjusting for drift 3 degrees.
There was some ADR that kind of went with that, which would be these tracks.
Hold it together! God damn it, watch it! 30 seconds to the run. 30 seconds.
They all kind of fit as a little puzzle. Every day on the mix stage, we would get a new cut with more visual effects put in. So we'd have flack that we'd never seen before, and usually up until the 11th hour, there was new flack, that we'd have to go in and find each explosion with. Sometimes sound effects have to take a back seat. Sometimes the dialogue has to be pushed through the music. Sometimes the music has to even tuck a little bit so you can make sure you hear all the dialogue. The biggest challenge in a way was the flak, which is the aerial explosions that are going off around these planes at all times, and creating this thing of pieces of metal flying, Dopplerizing by us, and bombs that would hit near us but kind of fly by and stuff. And that mixed with the planes and the engines, the rattles, the kind of shaking, and then incorporating that so it works well with the music and all the different layers of dialogue. They had 4 or so B-25 bombers, legitimate, antique, real B-25 bombers, and I wanted to go and record them. And because everyone's so uptight on the set, and these planes are quite valuable and major characters in the show, I just got an email back saying they laughed at that. So, I wasn't the priority at the time. Sound tends to be not the first thing that everybody thinks of. Maurizio Argentieri, who is the production mixer, was able to record a library of incredible sound effects of these B-25s flying all around the set over the course of the whole production. And we created this phenomenal library of fresh recorded B-25s, all of their, accoutrements, interiors, instruments, all the Foley of each little device and things. We start with being as accurate as we can and using the real recordings of the actual airplane involved, the actual Jeep involved. And then sometimes the recording itself or the quality of it itself is not everything you want it to be. So you start adding layers and textures within that kind of help support it. So for a big plane by and that there's a big aerial attack assault on the base, and they're sweetened with certain special elements of screaming, more visceral, guttural things. A little bit of animalistic stuff is in there, and certainly within all the explosions, the same thing. I mean, I feel really grateful that I've fallen into this creative field where in a bit like, it's a little like painting. We get to throw up some colors and paint, and I think what's really satisfying is you feel like you've added something to the effectiveness of how a scene and how the movie or show plays by just bringing that sense of sensitivity to it. And there's a creative aspect that I feel very fortunate, that I've got to do it.
Right, pay attention, boys.